Cheese.
Well, good morning, everybody. Before I started in real estate, I thought that real estate agents were the sleaziest and the cheesiest people out. Now that I'm working in real estate, little did I know it's very different. Stay tuned and we'll discuss why.
Ooh.
Well, good morning. Oh, we are live.
Ooh, Zanth, how are ya?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, you sleazy, cheesy girl.
Sleazy and cheesy. So a little story about before I started in real estate. Growing up, my mum had always said to me, never work in real estate or as a car salesman. They are the sleaziest people out. So I've grown up with this whole expectation. And when I told my mum that I had pursued a career in real estate, her jaw hit the floor. So I've grown up with this preconceived notion that real estate agents are just sleazy and cheesy. Little did I know it is quite different since I've gotten into the industry.
Wow. Where'd you grow up?
In the Northern Beaches. I'm here. I'm a Beaches girl. I'm local, so I grew up around Eleanor Heights.
And dead set, Mum says there's sleazy cheesy.
They never work in there. Look, she did throw a few four-letter words in there that I don't think I'm privy to share live on the air, but we'll stick with cheesy and sleazy.
Why? Where does this come from? Is it true?
Well, now that I work in real estate, I personally don't think so, but looking at things from an outsider's point of view, you see the real estate agents in their suits, walking around like they own the place. They've got their expensive cars, and then whatever stories you hear are generally bad news. It's the agents that pressure you, and they're constantly calling you, and it's just giving real estate agents a bad rep, really. But we're not like that. But now that I'm working in real estate, it is very different. And I honestly did not know how heavily regulated this whole industry was.
Well, that's crazy as well, isn't it? I'm actually doing a 9-hour course today, and you've done a 5-day course last week.
Yeah.
There is some regulation behind it, but regulated or not regulated, that myth of sleazy, cheesy real estate agents, I guess it's true. I guess it's true because you get and there are in a lot of industry, there is the extreme. You sort of see, but and I think a lot of that's trying to make yourself out there in the public, so you can people can come to you and say, hey, I want to sell. It is cheesy where you got to have that we put our nuggets on our business cards, or put our nuggets on our signboards, or put our heads wherever we can. There's not really many industries that actually do that, so there is an element of cheesiness to that because you don't see that anywhere else. But it works.
Well, you're selling a brand effectively, and that's kind of what I've come to realize. So when I first started with you, it feels like forever ago now, 6 months ago, I was in part of your media team. And then when you propositioned me and asked if I wanted to do something a little bit different and step into sales, watching you guys and how hard you work, how much you develop your brand, you're on the phones, like slaying day in and day out. I was kind of like, F yeah, of course I want to give it a try. Step up, do something a little bit different.
Yep. Isn't it interesting? And so from the outside in, sleazy, cheesy, getting in there, can you notice the compliance has been heavy? You've noticed the workload's been massive. You've noticed what about, I guess internally it's not sleazy, cheesy, but do you see sleazy, cheesy still in the business? Like when you look around at other agencies and stuff, do you think, no, I actually know why they do that now? Or do you still think, yeah, no, that's cheesy?
Look, there are elements that are still sleazy and cheesy. However, now that I understand why you need to do that and really hone in on your craft, develop your brand, get your name out there, I understand why. So kind of conflicting thoughts there where, oh my God, I see some people and I'm like, you're just cringe. But then good on them. Hats off to you for doing your thing and being authentic to yourself and just slaying and really getting some business, pulling some listings, doing your thing.
Yeah, and I think also if you're coming from different industries that don't do that, or offer that, or like are opposite that, it's different. So I think if you're coming from that corporate background, like a banking background, and you're seeing, you go, why are these guys all putting their, like, sold with their face, it's for sale with their head on the internet. That even when you're building websites, it's like, no, it's got to have the agent's face on it. You can imagine people like realestate.com and Domain, and it's got to feature the agent. It's got to be about the agent, and the agency. There's an emphasis there. Car sales. You don't put on carsales.com. There's no agent's face, right?
Yeah.
So it's different.
I'm luckily enough prior to working in real estate, I was working in marketing, so I understand why you need to develop your brand and really push that out there and become your own unique selling person and pulling people in, reeling it in.
Yeah. And also, I think another thing as well, sometimes it's not always good stories as well. And I think, though, there's an old saying: you do one thing right and 5 people find out. You do one thing wrong and 1,000 people find out. And I think, particularly with rentals, if a tenant doesn't leave a property how they should, and then they're not going to get, they're going to get part of their deducted. Or if it's a property that 20 people make an offer on and only one person actually gets it, there is an art to communication, empathy, let down, transparency, that probably, I think, isn't perfected by a lot of agents and agencies. Not saying we've perfected it either, but I think that happens where then your mum would go out there and go like, cheesy, sleazy.
Well, just having, and I suppose that's based on bad experiences. Like you said, you can do 5 things right and 1 thing wrong, and it's only the things that happen that you dislike or you disagree with or you feel uncomfortable with that you talk about or that you hear about effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'll say, you do 1 thing wrong and 1,000 people find out. You do 1 thing right and probably 10 people find out. So it's hard. And I think that's when you're pinning yourself and your head and your name to the transaction and the business, you're also pinning it up on a dartboard. If it doesn't go really well, or it's not executed properly. So that's probably fair as well, I guess.
Yeah, your name, your reputation, and the brand that you've worked so hard on establishing is definitely on the line every time you deal with anybody, from a prospective person that walks to an open home to an inquiry on the phone.
Yeah. Cheesiest real estate agent that you've come across since Mum told you real estate agents are sleazy and cheesy?
I don't want to name names, but I have visited several rental properties over the years, and there are definitely some sleazy ones amongst the Northern Beaches clan. Let's just leave it that way.
Wow. So they're still out there in the industry.
They're definitely still out there in the industry, but this also is pre me knowing everything that I do now. And so now I can approach things with more education and more understanding and know the right questions to ask as well, which is one thing that's been really valuable in learning here working at Novak.
And anything else we want to add behind sleazy and cheesy? What else have you learned the last couple of months? 6 months in real estate. 6
months in. I don't think there's enough time this morning to go through everything I've learned. It's literally like a crash nosedive head first into all of this information. And look, I thought I knew things before I stepped into this role. Everyone's an expert now that the internet's there. You can Google how much your place is worth. You can ask friends. You can look around and find all this information. So I stepped in thinking, I kind of know it all anyway. Little did I know just how much information, research, continued learning, regulations, all of these things that you have to do. And now I really understand why there is such a need for real estate agents, for leasing agents, for property managers, and the real estate industry in total.
Yeah, right. And you know what else is that I value? I value someone who's highly transactional in a particular product or service. I really do value their information. Like I think that if people, as an industry, sleazy, cheesy real estate agent industry, I do think that people should feel less bad about using an agent's time, because it's just so productive. So I know I'll say I'm buying a barbecue, and I can spend 1 hour a night for 2 weeks, every night, like just doing a bit of like, what about this? What about that? What about that? Research prices, this, that. And the reality is I can ring the Barbie guys and have a good old-fashioned chat, or I can walk into the barbecue place and have a good old-fashioned chat. And within 10 minutes, what I can learn is 2 weeks of research and information. So sleazy, cheesy, my head's getting too big, it's flopping. Sleazy, cheesy information for real estate agents. Like, I think people, if we can overcome that, obviously that thing that we're talking about, sleazy, cheesy, I think that can break down walls a little bit, making it easier for the customers to deal with us.
Absolutely. And I suppose it's all about human connection, finding someone that you vibe with, shop around, talk to people. Everyone has a different style, right? I might not be suited to some people in dealing with any transactions. They might be more tailored to your personality and your craft. So it is all a matter of finding that connection, someone that you vibe with, gel with.
Yeah. And use them. So if you're going to 10 open houses and you vibe with that one real estate agent, ring them up, ask them silly questions, free questions, even if you're not using them. That's what we're there for. We're there to help. So I think if the industry does that more and more, we're people are going to be winners, and we're going to get away from that vibe, where people say that. But you know what? It's been a vibe for a long time with me. I'm sort of used to it. Yeah. As 20, 30 years, you've always heard of it as you guys are like car salesmen, and I think we're never going to get rid of it, but we can just work with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Educate people and help them on their journey as well. I mean, it is a journey. Even if you're making an inquiry, it's a journey. You're out there looking, you're researching, you're wanting to find some information, and at the end of the day, we have a job, and that's to help you with whatever questions, queries, concerns you may have. And we want that to be a smooth process.
Boom. And what does Mum say now about sleazy, cheesy?
She's kept those comments to herself. Now it's just like, so how is it, ZANTHANY? Oh, you're doing a course now, are you? Oh, you're actually becoming a real estate agent.
So she's just going with it.
You know what? I absolutely love it. I love talking with people. I love connecting with people. I love the office vibe. I love getting out there and meeting new people as well. I'm absolutely loving it. So if anybody wants to come and sell with me one day, I'm your girl.
Yeah. And even if anyone needs any advice about getting into the business, just give us a call. You know what I mean? So if you're considering in the new year making a change with your career, you're attracted to real estate, absolutely. Just give your local agent or us a call and say, hey, what do you reckon? And also go in and do a trial. That's so cool.
Definitely.
In the new year, particularly if you've got a couple of days off work, ring your local if you're thinking about getting into real estate, and just tell them, can I come and work for you for free for a couple of days? And just have a look around and suss it out and see if it's your thing, see if it's as sleazy and cheesy as everyone says.
Oh, look, I'm putting it out there. I think that if you do that, you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's definitely different. Take it from me. It's different to what you ever would have anticipated or expected.
Well, you sort of think to yourself, what I think is I go and buy a chocolate bar for $2 and the person selling it makes 50 cents and pays $1.50 for it, the shop owner. But I look at real estate and I think, you're not carrying any costs, and you're making like a commission of $15,000 or $25,000. Like, you'd be like, really, how do you quantify that? So I guess, you know, when you, like, for yourself, someone like yourself, when you come into the business and you see everyone working so hard, all the support guys there, everything that we do day in, day out, you go, yeah, that's value for money.
Absolutely. The phones never stop ringing. There will always be a conversation happening in the office, and you'll be literally, if you're not glued to your computer screen, you'll be glued to your phone, or you'll be on the road driving around from appointment to appointment.
Yeah. We've literally got to have 500 phone calls to locate your one buyer.
Oh, easily. Without question.
That's I'm thinking just me, but then there's all the other reps in the office. But you know, there's a lot of that back end sleazy, cheesy work that's got to be done.
Yeah, it's got to be done.
Zan, thank you for talking sleazy, cheesy with us. We've taken the topic front on and we've talked about it.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's been a fun one this morning.
Sleazy, cheesy.
Yeah, I love it.
Bye, sleazy, cheesy. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.